Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov in St. Petersburg. Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov was born in Moscow on November the 13th, 1729. He spent his childhood and youth in capital city, and there he was enrolled in the service in the Life Guards Semyonovsky Regiment. On January the 1st of 1748, Suvorov came to St. Petersburg when he was an 18-year-old youth, and in Petersburg he was appointed to the 8th Company of the Life Guards Semyonovsky Regiment, located in regimental settlements.
The Semyonov Sloboda located in area limited by present Zagorodny and Moskovsky avenues, Zvenigoradsky Street and Obvodny Canal. Borders of Semyonov Regiment extended up to Volkovo Pole, Srednaya Rogatka, Izhor settlement, Kupchina and Shushar villages inclusive. The center of the Sloboda was a parade ground, place for trainings and reviews. At first, Alexander Vasilyevich settled in the location of the regiment stationed in the northern capital, in which he spent almost 16 years of his life. By autumn of 1748, Alexander Vasilyevich moved to his uncle's house, Alexander Ivanovich Suvorov. The house located in the west part of Preobrazhenskaya Sloboda, not far of regimental parade ground, on territory of which after will built the Suvorov Museum. Alexander Vasilyevich lived in his uncle's house up to 1754. In the same year, Suvorov was promoted to the first officer rank of lieutenant, and in order to fix his new important status, Alexander Vasilyevich received a patent for the rank at the military collegium. Since January of 1756, Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov became an auditor lieutenant general, deputy chief lawyer of the army. Now Suvorov belonged to the military college and was forced to appear in the building of the 12 colleges almost daily. During of the 7 Years' War, Suvorov was forced to absent in Petersburg and returned to the capital in summer of 1762. And soon after his return, he received command of the Suzdal Regiment located in the southwest of Vasilyevsky Island in the area of Galernaya Gavань. A year later, the regiment moved to indispensable apartments in Novaya Ladoga. Having been with the Suzdal Regiment in Novaya Ladoga, Suvorov had arrived to Petersburg several times on military service affairs. At one of such visits on March 25, 1765, Alexander Vasilyevich was invited holiday of the Horse Guards Regiment, which was held in the Winter Palace, and here he was represented to the future heir Pavel Petrovich. Year after year, every visit of the famous general to Petersburg wasn't without a visit of emperor residences. Since the reign of Yekaterina II, there were in the capital holidays of Russian orders were celebrated on the days of saints whose names they bore yearly. In 1791, Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov participated in festi of Saint George the Victorious and Apostle Saint Andrew the First called. All holders of the order who were in St. Petersburg at those days were invited to these celebrations. In accordance with notes from Chamber Fourier Ceremonial Journal, in this journal the Count Camarus Fourier's daily briefly recorded events at the imperial court during the period since 1785 to 1799. Suvorov often was in the Winter Palace and in Hermitage, not only with business visits, but also at receptions, liturgies in the court church, imperial dinners and evening meals. He was in the royal residence approximately 80 times. During visits to the capital, Alexander Vasilyevich necessarily had visited his daughter, Natalia Alexandrovna, or as he called her affectionately, Suvorochka, who was brought up at the Smolny Institute for Noble Maidens under the guidance of the headmistress Sofia Ivanovna de la Fawn. Alexander Vasilyevich treated with respect to Sofia Ivanovna, and so he had ordered to his daughter to obey to her. Be pious, well-behaved, honor your mother Sofia Ivanovna, or she will pull you out by the ears and put you in jail for a cracker with water, he wrote in 1787. The Tavrichesky Palace was as one of the important Petersburg places for Suvorov. On April 28th of 1791, on the occasion of the 1787-1791 Russian-Turkish War victory,
a magnificent celebration organized by Potemkin took place. Almost all the nobility of St. Petersburg and representatives of the diplomatic court was at the occasion. On April 25, 1795, over in the domestic church of the Tavrichesky Palace, got married the daughter of Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov and the brother of the favorite of Ekaterina II, Nikolai Zubov. At the insistence of the Empress, and as a sign of special favor after receiving the field marshal's baton for the capture of Warsaw, Alexander Vasilyevich settled in the palace for 3 months. He was considered a personal guest of the Empress. The field marshal was expected and tried to take into account many of his well-known habits and quirks. In particular, they took out expensive furniture from his chambers, hung mirrors, put a granite vase with cold Neva water for pouring, a table with samovar, etc. When the commander received guests, and there were quite a lot of them at first, he often took them to watch the birdwatch Peacock, which was made by the inventor Ivan Petrovich Kulibin. Now these clocks are kept in the Hermitage. The last address in the capital for Suvorov was the house of the woman Colonel Marfa Fomina. Dmitry Ivanovich Khvostov, the husband of niece of Suvorov of Agrafena Ivanovna, rented apartment number 11, located on the second floor of the house. At the last 10 years of life of the commander, Khvostov became one of the close person to him. There were lived children of the commander in his apartment, Natalia and Arkady, sister and nephews. Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov spent here the last days of his life, and he died on the 6th May of 1800. And from here the coffin with body of the Generalissimo went to the Alexander Nevsky Lavra. The Annunciation Church of the Alexander Nevsky Lavra was the last residence place of Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov. It is the second by importance pantheon of Russian Empire after the Peter and Paul Cathedral. The great commander was buried here on the 12th May of 1800. There was installed a tombstone above his grave with inscription, "Here lies Suvorov," and the full title of Generalissimo, ordered by Dmitry Ivanovich Khvostov. On the facade of house of the Colonel Marfa Fomina, the present address embankment of Krukov Canal 23 in 1950, was installed the memorial plaque with text, "In this house, on May 6, 1800, the great Russian commander Generalissimo Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov died." A memory of the great commander Alexander Vasilyevich Suvorov began to perpetuate while still alive. He was the first person in Russia for whom began to build a lifetime monument, which at present located in Suvorov Square near with the Mars Field. He was the first person in domestic history for whom dedicated a memorial museum opened to visitors in 1904 on the territory of the Preobrazhensky Parade Ground at the corner of Kirichnaya and Tavricheskaya streets. The museum was built with donations from individuals and members of the imperial family.